background? Wow, you have a lot of snow. Awesome. Cool, so we'll get started here in a couple minutes. Thank you guys all for being here. Good morning, Sinful. Oh, you beat me to it. I was just going to paste it too. Morning, Fede. So I think it's a good time to get started on the introduction, Pablo? Yes, or just wait? Okay, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining us for the 6th Ask Me Anything session for our Decentraland community. I'm Fractilians with the Facilitation Squad. I'm also joined today with Fede, who's also from the DAO Facilitation Squad. While everyone joins in, I'll just share some links with you guys and some info. And Pablo already shared the Slido link in the chat. You are welcome to use that to add your questions for today. And also, I wanted to paste, I mentioned this last time, all the AMA are recorded, and hopefully whoever's in charge of recording can start the recording right now. That'd be wonderful. Here is the link to all the past AMAs, and all of them again are recorded, and this one will be up probably in the next day or so. I'll try to get up later today if I can. Also, regarding the technical AMA agenda, we have another 2 for this cycle remaining. So the next one will be on January 25th at the same time, and it'll be about the Explorer. And for further information, let me paste the Notion doc for you guys if you guys want to take a look on that, to look up all the upcoming ones. And we truly believe that creating bridges here for the Decentraland Foundation, the grantees, and opening up the space to provide transparency and support to specific questions is a really great step in building our community. So if you have any blockers, questions, always feel free to reach out to the amazing Grant Support Squad, Verified Partners Registry, and also to the Facilitation Squad. We are here to help you guys. So, well, today is the SDK session, and I'm going to pass it on now to Nico, who is the SDK and kernel product manager from Foundation. And thanks, Nico, for being here. And yeah, I'll pass it on to you.
Hey, thanks, Natalie. Thanks, everyone, for joining this. And
are you
please.
recording? Who's the one that records the meeting? Just to guarantee that.
I can do it if you want.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I wasn't sure if anybody heard that. I also do a backup recording just in case, but it's nice to have the one that is done from here.
Yeah, that is going to the Foundation Google Drive, so it's going to be safe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so since the last time we did one of these, there's been 2 major changes that happened. One is that we released the alpha version of SDK 7, the much awaited new version. So we're now already, in this case, the alpha is already up there, and we're working on making that into a beta. So as we work on that, there will be some changes, but once we reach the beta stage, things will be a lot more stable, and we anticipate to make as few breaking changes as we possibly can from that point on. The other major change that happened is that we released the proper GA version of the editor. And specifically about that, I wanted to share a quick 10-minute presentation like a quick overview of what we've done so far and what we plan on doing in the next, couple of quarters around that. So I'm going to share my screen now. Just a second. And let me know if you're seeing this right now. Oh, no, sorry. No, that's not true. There we go. So about the Decentraland editor. We released the proper GA version on December 23rd, so right before Christmas. And since then, we've had more than 500 downloads, but a bit more. This presentation, I did it a couple of weeks back. So the main features about this release are that the installation is a whole lot easier, and there is no more need for using the command line when you're developing scenes. And those are two major pain points. Those are two things that I know that everyone who's worked with the SDK in the past year knows is quite a pain. And in fact, like whenever we did user interviews, the things that always came up, like getting everything, all of your dev dependencies in your system installed is just painful. And the command line is just scary to anyone who's not an experienced developer. So also we really, like, by having a single tool where you do everything, we reduce the clutter a lot. Like this is the the old experience of working with the SDK. You at the very least need to have 3 open windows, and if you don't have a second screen, it's just horrible to work like that. So right now with the Decentraland editor, it looks like this. You have Visual Studio Code open, and within that single window, you have everything you need right there. So what can you do with the editor? So far, we've limited our scope of work to doing what you could do with the CLI, but in a graphical way. So you can create a scene, you can run previews and debug, you can publish a scene to the Decentraland, you can install and manage libraries, all through a visual UI without having to ever resort to the command line. And as a bonus also, you can also preview 3D models. By the way, we've been doing a number of bug fixes in the last couple of weeks, and there have been a couple of bugs that might have been related to this, which should now be fixed. The other significant thing is that now versioning is a lot more simple. So up until now, it's always been challenging to have a version of both what we call the SDK, which is really like the package, and the CLI. And it's always been a challenge whenever there was a support issue that it's so common for people to update just one of these and then run into scenarios where they have incompatible versions. And now we're adding a third thing, which is the editor. So we figured it was just hell to expect people to maintain the latest version of all 3 things. So now what we're doing is that the editor is ensuring that you're always using the latest version of all 3 things behind the scenes. You don't even need to know what version you're using. So the editor, as a VS Studio Code extension, updates itself, and it also updates the CLI, and it also updates the SDK. So that does have a caveat, though, that we only update the SDK within major versions. So if you're developing with SDK version 6, we're not going to port your version to version 7, because that would be just too much of a change. But within version 7, you will always be using the latest version of that version family. So what's next? This is what we have so far. We've got phase 1 of the editor. Phase 2 of the editor will focus on making things a lot more like accessible to non-developers, to at least make non-interactive content. So we want to basically cover the scope of things that are possible with the current builder, but within a context where you can also dive deeper and actually touch code as well. So the most obvious thing is a drag and drop interface. You move, scale, and rotate things just as you could do with the builder. And then we also want to include the old asset packs that we have from the builder, because we have more than 2,500 models that were made, optimized specifically for the Decentraland. And yeah, these models are, they're low poly, they share textures, they're modular, so they fit in together. There's a lot of goodness that comes with them. And it also makes it a lot easier for creators to get started prototyping things fast. When you create a scene, it's just painful to go out and look for 3D models that might fit your scene. If you have an artist working with you, awesome. If you're an artist yourself, also awesome. But even then, it's good to be able to prototype nicely looking things with at least dev assets that you might want to replace for your own custom things in the future, or not. So the next thing is also being able to navigate the tree of entities in a way that is more clear, and have a clear hierarchy of what entities are in the scene and how they're nested. This is something that the builder doesn't do, and it's a great feature to include as well. And finally, the other thing that the builder doesn't do is include an entity inspector, something that if you're used to Unity or other similar editors, you'll find super familiar, because it's all about selecting an entity and being able to add or remove components or change properties and components all visually. So with that, actually, we're enabling a whole lot of use cases that have to do with creating your scene, and that even have to do with having all sorts of interactive things in your scene that can be done entirely without touching code. And if we combine this with people creating systems and libraries with behaviors that are prepackaged and allow you to import those libraries into your scene, then suddenly actually you have a lot of power with that, because you could label different entities with these components, and then systems treat these entities in different ways, and there you can create pretty awesome interactive things without ever touching code. So that is what we're planning for version 2, or not for version 2, for phase 2, because there will be multiple releases, multiple version numbers in that stage. Then we have more things to think about longer term. But for now, let's digest that. Let's focus on delivering that over the next couple of quarters. And yeah, there's a lot more fun stuff to come even later. So that is all I wanted to share. And yeah, without any further ado, let's dive into the actual questions, what we're here for. Ask me anything. So how do we want to do this? Should I share my screen, or does anyone else want to share the screen as I show the questions?
Yeah, you can share the screen.
All right, let's go back to sharing.
Thanks, Nico.
Sure. No. So here we are. So these are the questions so far. Again, if you want to go into to the Slido link that was shared, you can ask any more questions, and they'll be added to the backlog, and we'll get to them. We'll be crossing them out. Could someone please on the other end go crossing out the questions that we're answering? Because I don't have an admin account here, so I can't do that myself.
All right.
So
Nico, can you make it bigger?
Yes,
or,
of course.
know?
Yeah, good point. Is that good enough? All right.
Yeah,
so
it's better.
So question 1, would it be possible to launch SDK without an internet connection? That is something more of a nice to have. It's something that we've discussed a lot in the past. It's not a priority right now, but yeah, in the future would be nice. All I can say is that it's not in the current roadmap, but possible. Yeah, it will be possible someday. So another question by Morris Mustang. Is it possible to make event hooks or callbacks from when animations are completed? Another thing that has been discussed in the past and is unfortunately not in the current scope of what we want to do, but absolutely within our wish list of things. We have maybe this would be a nice thing to share. I'll share it right after this. But there is a ticket that we have on our GitHub, which is basically a wish list that comprises a whole lot of feature requests that we've been getting over the years. And like a lot of these things are there, and they'll be addressed eventually. But yeah, it's a matter of picking our battles, of focusing on the the foundations first and building up from there. So next question. This may be outside the scope of just SDK. Any work being done on signing in with Polygon so we can execute native L2 transactions without relayers? So a little bit of context on this. Currently, it is possible to do transactions on L2, but only through what we call meta transactions. And this works, but is of course not ideal. Yeah, because of using relayers and because of the UI not being all that descriptive of what the sort of transaction it is that you're doing. However, we currently don't have any plans on the in scope right now. It is something that has come up in discussions a lot, and I believe that there is research being done in regards to this. But presently, I don't know of any initiatives to make this a feature. So some of the updated dependencies stop my scene from functioning properly. Will the latest SDK dependencies be enforced to users? So this relates to something I just mentioned from the presentation, right? So we plan on, yes, enforcing the latest updates to within a major version, but never between major versions. I'm not sure what when you talk about the updated dependencies, if this refers to migrating for SDK 6 to SDK 7, there, yes, pretty much everything will need to be updated. including any imported libraries. Those libraries would also need to be migrated to SDK 7. But if it is within a minor version, then if anything breaks, that is a bug that needs to be fixed. So if you have anything specific that you're running into, whoever this is, please, yeah, I would very much encourage you to raise an issue and report that, because that's something that we need to fix, and we need to avoid as much as possible going forward. So next question. Our game notices that the client has significantly more bugs than browser. So I imagine that here we're talking about the desktop client, right? So how can we stop this and isolate issues within the client? Very frustrating. Yes, very frustrating indeed, I'm sure. So I believe this is more of a question for the Explorer team. The desktop client is maintained by them, and like from our side, we don't have a lot of actionable things we can do. If something works properly on browser and not on the desktop client, then the issue must be somewhere within that scope of things. We will forward this to them, but again, please, I encourage that if there's any specific issues, please, we need a detailed report of what issues are specifically going on, because there isn't a lot that the developer team can do with a very vague bug report. So next question. What can the community do to get smart wearables into the economy? So smart wearables are something that has been, we've been trying to get out for a while now, and right now we have it within the scope of this quarter to remove a blocker that is currently part of that, which is to make sure that smart wearables are at least secure, in the sense that if a smart wearable is to make anything related to the blockchain, if a smart wearable is to interact with your wallet in any way, there needs to be a permission granted to that smart wearable. And we should not allow smart wearables to freely have any kind of interaction with the wallet, because that could be ill-used in different ways. For example, to impersonate interactions from the scene you're standing on instead of from the smart wearable itself. So with that out of the way, the next step is for these permissions to be made visible to the players, and for anyone who's purchasing a smart or putting on a smart wearable. So the idea is that whenever a player puts something on, or whenever a player purchases something on the marketplace, there should be a clear list of permissions that are being granted to the creator of the smart wearable. So the player is at the very least aware if this wearable wants to do a number of different restricted actions. The most serious of those is the one I just mentioned, the one that has to do with interacting with blockchain, but a number of other restricted actions are already in place. For example, opening external links and connecting to an external server. But again, these restricted actions are there in the code, but they need to be surfaced to the user in order for them to really, be valuable. So again, from the community, these things, we consider them to be blockers in terms of, security for our users. So we need that to happen, and they are scoped in the current roadmap. But from the community, I guess a valuable thing is to create examples, to create, more smart wearables that others can, take inspiration from, or even borrow code from. Smart wearables, by the way, are planned to be only supported being built with SDK 7. This is also another, security measure, simply because we're going to be implementing these security measures on SDK 7 and not on older versions. So yeah, if anyone wants to take on the task of building examples with smart wearables, that is already possible, even though they can't be published ultimately, but they should be built with SDK 7. So next question. Nothing in docs for SDK 7 and blockchain transactions. Does ETHConnect work with SDK 7? Now, this is a question that I don't feel entirely confident responding right now. If anyone from the dev team wants to take this on, I think that would be better, because I can answer this, but not with 100% security of what I'm saying.
you can try using it, Morris. If you have any
Mhm.
issue, just ping me there, and I can contact you
Mhm.
with any of the team.
Yeah,
But it,
as far as I tested, which is not fully tested, yeah, ETH does work, or at the very least, it doesn't break your scene. I haven't tested using it all the way and trying it out in SDK7. We haven't documented this simply because we try to keep the scope more contained for the alpha, but it should be working. And in fact, also the ether.js library should also work, which doesn't work with older versions of the SDK, but is now possible to import in SDK7. We're lacking documentation on that, and before I write anything, we want to make double sure that it in fact does work as expected, but it should work as expected as far as I'm aware. Okay. I hope that is a good enough answer, and please, Morris, if you do try this out and run into things not working, I'm super interested to know what you run into. So another question by Morris. Looks like SDK7 removes most of the functionality required for our in-scene analytics library. Will those features be re-implemented before SDK7 release alpha? So to be honest, I'm not aware what those features would be. Would you please expand on what those features are? So I don't know which exactly have been removed there. Morris, if you're here, I would appreciate some more in-depth details. If not, we can move on to, we can leave it open, keep answering others, and then come back to this one. Okay, let's leave it open for now, and then come back. Portable Experience Blocker script has been broken. Plans to reconnect the library so that it works again. Token gates broken into games, and games exploited by jetpacks. Yes, we are aware of this issue, and we have created a ticket to address it. I've tried it out and have been able to reproduce it myself. So this is something that we need working again. I agree. Next question. Been experiencing wearables not appearing as equipped on avatar when loading in localhost. They do show up in inventory and can be equipped afterwards. This is an issue that I haven't experienced myself. I don't know how to reproduce it. It would be great to to get more accurate steps to reproduce it to be able to test it out and address it more efficiently. I so far gave it a shot and was not able to run into that. So maybe there's specific cases or specific wearables that run into those issues. Going to the next one. So question from Carl. I need to create test worlds with multiple scenes. You mentioned a new technology called workspaces in the last AMA. Can you please provide a link? So yes, workspaces is not all that new. Really, it's been around for at least 3 or 4 months. And it is in the documentation. If you want, actually I have docs open right here. Shouldn't be all that hard to find it. Sorry, I'm gonna turn off my second screen. Usually when that happens, it's my PC suffering from too much overload of 2 screens. It should run smoother now. Anyway, it is in the documentation. If you look for workspaces there, you'll find that there is a whole section on that, and it's not all that difficult to implement. Sorry about that. My computer occasionally just goes really slow when I'm sharing screen. So anyway, yes, it's here in the docs, and it's not hard at all. Using the CLI, you can just create a workspace with the CLI workspace in it, and can house multiple projects under that. There is a caveat, though, to this question. You mentioned that you need to create test worlds with multiple scenes. Now, one thing about how worlds are designed is that worlds are meant to support just one scene. So if you plan on having a world that houses multiple scenes altogether, that, I'm afraid, will not be working. But you can have a workspace. You can test workspaces locally with many scenes, and you can then deploy those multiple scenes to Genesis City. But you wouldn't be able to deploy multiple scenes to a workspace. It would be just being one scene per workspace. So moving on. There's a problem with video ads displayed from the ad server level based on AdShare's protocol. Black screen instead of ads. Views are counting. I would need a bit more context to be able to get into this, because I'm not aware of an ad server that we're recommending or hosting ourselves. And wherever the videos are being streamed from, I don't know how ads are being handled there. At least when it comes to Vimeo, which is the recommended approach for streaming videos, I don't believe there are any ads there, or at least not by default, at least not if you just upload a video and stream it in.
Is here the person to give more context to this question? Somebody raised the hand. Go on, Andrew. You are mute, Andrew.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. I'm from this ad server, which is based on AdShare's protocol, and we are displaying the ads in the Decentraland. So the ads, like simple pictures, are running great.
Oh.
And recently there was the upload of video ads. And from our side, it seems to be everything all right. So, but in the Decentraland, all I see is just the black screen where the video is supposed to be, and the views are counting actually. So the videos are on the banners because the views are counting. So people like allegedly see it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the real, there is just a black screen. I can share it. I have it open, and there is nobody. I don't know, like nothing from our side. And also, the guy from AdShares, they're aware of it, and they wrote you about this problem also. So I don't know, on some chats.
Okay, so like the whole video functionality doesn't have any explicit support for ads. However, if these ads come in as as another video, like in theory it should work. Maybe the issue has to do with the format that they're in. Maybe they're just formatted in a different streaming format, and the engine is not able to read that. Like it would need to be debugged. If we are on like ads that are like images, pop-up images that appear on the video, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't work simply because there is no explicit handler for that kind of content.
Recently there were already video ads and it worked perfectly. Okay. And now we just uploaded with the same requirements as before, and there is problems that.
Interesting. Okay. So this would be something valuable for the Explorer team to debug, because it's only a render aside thing.
Okay, and also AdShare is just so the official partner with Decentraland. So I hope you're gonna check it out, because this is such a huge problem because the ads are not displayed.
Right. Yes. Yes. Please share this as with details. Specifically, if you have any scene where this can be reproduced, that would be the most valuable thing. Like a link to a place where we can see this issue happening in action.
Yeah, I can send you right now for instance, the parcel where it's happening, because it's happening on all the parcels, but I can send you the one here in chat. So you'll see that ads are not displaying on the parcel, which is from Meta Architects. This is also, I suppose, the partner of Decentraland, but it doesn't matter. And the thing is, you see black screens where the ad's supposed to be.
Right, got it. Yes, we'll make sure that this makes it in as a ticket. Could someone please take notice of the link you shared? Because as I'm sharing the screen, I don't want to jump around too much.
Yeah, I will copy it.
Thank you. And then we can create a ticket about that. So yeah, thank you, Andrew. We will look into that. Moving on to the next question. Will game makers ever be able to override default animations to customize for game experience, i.e. idle, walk, run, jump, etc.? So currently there are no plans for that. It is certainly something that's come up, and it's it's super interesting. I know that there are efforts to make the default animations like more engaging and more fun. Currently, we have it in our scope to be able to trigger custom emotes, but as as specific things triggered by the SDK whenever the scene decides that it makes sense, but not as an override for the default avatar emotes. However, that is something that is in the it is in our wish list of things, not in the short-term list, but it is like absolutely something that would be fun to be able to make your players skate or levitate or whatever in your scene instead of just regularly walking. So short answer, not in the short term, but yes in the long term. Next question. About add video banners. The videos are uploaded in MP4 format, 20 megabyte max size. The videos normally work on other parcels. Thanks, I believe. This is the same Andrew as before, right? So that this helps give a little context to the issue we were just discussing. Next question. Will there be a camera orbit operation with a look at target in DCL edit? It is just a camera local rotation. Also, it uses different mouse buttons than in world. So DCL edit is actually a project created from the community. There's a team that is working on that was funded by the DAO. I don't know if anyone from DCL edit is here and can answer for that. If there isn't anyone from DCL edit here, I'll just answer that. That as far as I know, it's not part of the scope they're thinking of, but it could be a good feature to pass on to them.
You can use their dedicated Discord channel to reach them out and ask.
Thanks. Yes.
In the DAO server. Yeah.
Right. Moving on. Where can we submit smart wearable concepts to? Good question. We don't have anywhere currently, we don't have any repository or place where we take that kind of suggestion, but it's certainly valuable to have ideas communicated somewhere. I would say Discord or the forum, but if people from the squad have any better suggestions, I'm all ears. Well, if not, there is no organized way to submit these things, but maybe it's a good project to organize some kind of a forum where ideas are shared and where it's about inspiring other creators with concepts.
Nico, maybe we could create a category in the forum as a walk around, at least for now. We could do something like that.
Yeah, the forum is a good place for that. And I would suggest maybe not just constraining it to smart wearables. I mean, smart wearables are one kind of, of inspirational idea for these things, but it could also apply to scenes, to regular wearables. We could have a topic of, ideas.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to create maybe some examples and a definition of, okay, how a good request would look like, right?
Yeah.
Like what are the specifications that they need to have, and like references, wherever, and we could create a flow for that. That's doable.
Nice. I like it. Thanks. All right, next question. Would we be able to add metas like MetaZone in the new builder, so users could add a prepared code from an external place like the Awesome repository? So when we talk about the new builder, I imagine we're discussing the Decentraland editor. And we are envisioning something similar to, the old smart items eventually. But as I presented in this presentation I just gave, the idea initially is to, support for now the importing of libraries. Now, these libraries can include systems, they can include custom components. So through that, you can make a lot of the behaviors of what we would call a meta there. But we are planning to also go deeper as a later step with what we're calling constructs. So in Unity, you have what you call prefabs. We're thinking of doing something similar, but we don't want to limit it to how Unity defines their prefabs. So we're calling them constructs, just to make clear that it's something different. But a construct is basically a collection of entities, or a tree of entities that has one parent entity. And these entities could have any kind of component on them. So it could be a 3D model, it could be a model of a door with a model of a knob attached to it, with certain components that give it certain behaviors. So basically, by importing one of these constructs, not prefabs, you would be able to bring in something that comes in with a lot of the data, or basically it comes in with all of the data that you need, but not with the behaviors, and the behaviors would come from systems that you can import separately. So through that, we could get quite close to what MetaZone does via metas. So yeah, that is part of the vision. Eventually, we want to also be able to have a marketplace for these kinds of assets. But that's also for, well, we're calling phase 3. So yeah, hope that answered the question. Next question from Lastrom. Hi team, avatar shapes stopped working in world with SDK 6. However, they work locally. Any breaking changes? I was not aware of this as a bug. And yeah, if this is going on, that is something that we need to address. If you have any way to reproduce that, an example where you can show that in action, it would be very valuable. Thanks. And yeah, what would be the final question right now? So is there any plans to integrate a way to have animated textures on non-native shapes? So not in the short term. So by what we call a non-native shape, I imagine refers to 3D models that are imported from a GLDF or GLB, in opposed to primitive shapes like cubes, spheres, etc. Right? And for now, there is no control over these textures, but we do plan on allowing for that in later releases. So not right now, but like next couple of quarters. Through that, should be possible. Now, I'm not an expert in 3D models and the kind of data that comes with a 3D model. I know that there is a way to animate textures as part of, of what the model does, right? As a kind of animation that comes with the model. And to be honest, I'm not aware of exactly what that entails and if it's even possible within our engine. If anyone here has more knowledge about that, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, we can investigate later and yeah, have an answer for that in writing later. Any plans for doing game jams again? Yes, absolutely. In fact, there is a game jam in the work, like that is currently like running right now. It's in Nairobi, Africa, and organized by the people from Metaverse Architects. This was like organized completely by the community and external to the Decentraland Foundation, but it's already in progress. And from what I hear, there's a lot of activity there. And there will be other similar game jams throughout the world, I believe, also organized by this same group. However, the foundation is also planning to host a game jam. I don't want to promise any dates right now because it's still to be determined, but it would be sometime after we release SDK 7 proper, no longer alpha or beta, but as a GA. And we want to then encourage people to try out the new SDK as much as possible. And the game jam is a perfect way to get everyone, jumping on board and trying it out. So yeah, still can't disclose any specific dates for this, but we are planning for this in the next few months. So yes, that leaves us with just one question that we deferred for later, which is the one from Morris Mustang, which refers to the functionality around scene analytics. Morris Mustang, are you there by any chance? And if not, well, we can defer this and answer it offline, and we can ask for more information later. So yeah, with that, it looks like we actually got through all of our questions, which is a great improvement over the last time we did this. We had an overwhelming number of questions that was not possible to answer within an hour, and we ended up having to answer several of them in writing. But yeah, this time it was a lot more manageable. Great. If anyone else there is thinking of something and too shy to ask, please, I encourage you to. This is the perfect time and space for it.
Thanks, Nico.
And if not, yeah, looks like we're done here.
Take the opportunity, community.
Yeah, I can do the little closing remarks if you like. Well, thank you, Nico, again for your great overview presentation earlier and on the updates. I'm really looking forward to your upcoming features as well. And thanks, Ignacio, who was here, and everyone else from Foundation side, and to all the community members for being here, and of course Pablo, Zena, and Gio for putting this together. And the recording, like I said earlier, will be up hopefully in the next day for you guys to check this out if you missed this one. And all the questions for all the previous ones are up on our GitHub, and I'll paste that link here in the chat in a minute. But thanks again, everyone, for being here. Be sure to join us for the upcoming AMA on the 25th, which will be about the Explorer. Yeah, ciao, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
I love you all. You're fucking beautiful creatures.